Uh, I'm Gus Fowler, August on your roster. I wanted to start off by showing the configuration for each VM. We give it 4 cores and 2 gigs just to see if that might help speed up the nmap. Each of them has that to see if that might speed up the nmap, but I doubt it. These are you can consider each of these a switch. This is considered the outside world default VM port for my configuration. And you can see this one is for gateway client. So basically just an Ethernet cable between the gateway and the client. And these are each an Ethernet card. And this one goes between the gateway and the server. So I go down here to client, and you can see it is on the gateway client bridge. And then you go down here, and you can see that the server is on the gateway server bridge. So I'm going to go to my terminal to fire these up, but these numbers will correspond to some of the commands I'm about to run. So I'll start. This is my RC firewall script. I'm going to attach this, so I'm not going to try to show you the whole thing. This is to flip back to the Project 1 default, let everything have access to the internet. Each of these corresponds to the 10-point last additional requirements scripts, basically. The TAC I 0.1 makes ping not take forever to time out because my ping actually does just drop. So it keeps sitting there forever waiting. That just helps speed it up a little bit. Also, the count 5 helps with that too, at least 5 packets. These are the same net plans that I used in Project 1. I just attached them here. If I didn't mention, I added a socket to each VM so I can copy and paste easier. It's not giving me an SSH connection directly into each VM. I can SSH into Gus PVE, which I'll show in just a second. Get a terminal that way. So I'm going to start connecting to each of these. So I'm connecting to the hypervisor. To be clear, this is a host. And then I'm going to do so this is now everything. Yep, this is that VM. This is the gateway firing up. And the serial port basically just lets me use SSH into the physical host and then get the command line output of the VM over that SSH connection rather than having to configure the network in a way that you guys probably wouldn't want me to. Alright, so to be clear, this is the gateway. This is the client. And this is the server. So right now is configured so that is configured like Project 1, right? But if I go ahead and run, so I'm going to go ahead and just make sure I have the most up-to-date version of my RC firewall in here. I'm sure you can see how that doing it that way makes my life a whole lot easier. Right, so now I run sudo IP tables, and you see all the rules that were added. So now the gateway's been configured. Just to go ahead and show the IP addresses everybody has. So this is the internet, which is also subsequently the reason why I didn't use 10.0.0. whatever. For the server side, I used 16. Everything else is the same. I just added a 6 instead of a 0, basically. But my home network is that, so did not want to fool around with this and this. So 18 is outside world. This is client side, server side, loopback. So I guess I should start by SSH to my gateway. So you see here, it says the IP address is here, which matches this. If I run ls here, you can see I am server and server test. I run ls here, I am server, server test. And then here, if I do sudo service status all, you can see I have disabled all of the services that were originally enabled in this image that I could figure out how to. For some reason, port 53 is still open on TCP on the gateway. And it's not really forwarding it anywhere. And I know what program it is. It's Resolve DNS forwarding or whatever. It's not Resolve. It's just without the word Resolve, drop the E and add a D at the end, but I can't find where to shut off, and I don't care that much. So SSH works. If I curl this is the message that it gives. If I go into the server, that is what I replaced the stock index.html with, just so curl would show up. And then I want to go login successful, except for I don't really know how to prove it is. I know that I got passive set up correctly, but other than that, I didn't fool around with the FTP too much because I just figured I forwarded it correctly. So now I guess I can run the tests. So I'm going to go ahead and start the client test. And the server test. Because I do know they take a while. Take like 10 minutes, and this is already a 10-minute video. I'll run the gateway test. Send message not permitted. We'll just wait for it to time out. Send message not permitted again. Again, send message not permitted. Alright, so that's the gateway test. This is the results of the gateway test here. Now, I know that this is going to take a minute. It is already at about 5%. And 6%. So I'm going to set a timer on my phone. And I will try to cut it out for the YouTube video, but I doubt I'll be able to, so I guess you can just sit here and listen to me for a little bit. So you can see on the server side, port 53 is open for the gateway. That's because I can't stop resolved DNS. But over here, you'll see it's already showing. It has everything else that is forwarding is shown as open. So I'm going to let these run, try to be quiet while this runs. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. Alrighty, it looks like that in-map scan finished. And you can see the client cannot do any pings. So now let's check out this guy and see what this says. Alright, so pinging, or the in-map finished over here too. And server can ping everybody it's supposed to. Cannot ping this guy. This guy cannot ping. And this guy can't talk to anybody. He's not supposed to be able to talk to either. So yeah, I'll just click through that again one last time real quick. I'm fairly certain that that's all I need to show you guys. To be clear, gateway, client, server. Yep. I showed everything I was supposed to. Okay. So, I apologize for the unorthodox setup, but this is a ARM chip. So, it can't exactly run x86 images, albeit if you gave me an ARM image, I could do it on this. But that's a little bit of a pain to ask for you to do that just for me. But nevertheless, I got this running on my home hypervisor, so I know it looks a little different than everybody else's, but these shells are just like if you opened a serial connection on a Raspberry Pi, it's just a serial connection into the virtual machine and getting a shell that way. So, any other questions about how I did this, you should be able to refer to my project 1 that I submitted, which I got 100 on, which should have the answers to any questions about my configuration. But other than that, have a good one.